good morning, good morning. How is everyone this morning? Yes, I'm in an orchard. Who said that money doesn't grow on trees? You see that? That's money. This is money. Money does grow on trees. Are you kidding? Plant an orchard, like almonds or pistachio. Pistachio are the best. You plant a pistachio tree, you can harvest it in about 7 years, every year for the next 100 years. Money grows on trees. Hey, Susan. Hey, Jacques. Hey, Don. Hey, Susan. Good morning. Well, that's not what I'm here to talk about, even though I'm pulled off the side of the road because I'm in transit today. Thought I'd come live to you from an almond orchard so you can see that money grows on trees. But today's subject was inspired by a meeting I just had with one of my lifelong best friends. And we were having a financial planning, estate planning meeting because he doesn't have children and he doesn't have a wife. And he's making sure his affairs are in order, which may sound like a morbid thing to do, but it's actually a smart thing to do. And so I thought I would chat about that just for a minute this morning and ask the question, and you can answer in the comments, are your affairs in order? It doesn't matter how old you are. Are your affairs in order? And here's what I mean by your affairs in order. If something happens to you, does your spouse and children and business partners and other stakeholders in your life, like anybody who depends on you being alive, do they know exactly what happens if something happens to you? Do they know who's in charge? Almost always is your spouse, but not necessarily, depending on how complicated your business and family matters are. But do people know who's in charge? And so that would be like a trustee or an executor of your will. And I'm not going to go deep into it here because you can just Google it and get a sense. But if your estate has much value or much complication at all, you're going to want a trust so that you can avoid probate, so that your affairs can carry on immediately upon your passing without getting tied up in the state, without the state getting a big death tax payment from your estate. Get a trust. Yes, it's an investment, but it's an investment in your family and your business partners and your friends and anybody that's a stakeholder in your life. Because if you don't have a trust and something happens to you, it can get really complicated and expensive. The next layer of your affairs in order is who gets what. And I know this is like a nasty conversation, but people get crazy around money and stuff, even in the face of death. And I'll bet most of you have a crazy story about family or friends that just went nuts over things. And so instead of setting your family and friends up for going nuts over things, lay everything out in a will. Written document. This is who I want to get what. And that way, nobody can argue over it, right? Your affairs in order. The third layer of your affairs in order is things like passwords to your computer, passwords to your online bank accounts, signature cards at the safe deposit box. And, I'm not an expert in estate planning. I'm just telling you, get an expert. And you can just go on Google, right? You can find everything you need to know on Google. Even something like LegalZoom.com can get you a will, probably even a trust document for the state that you live in. Get your affairs in order. because you don't want to leave your family, your business partners, and your friends with a mess or a setup that's going to have them at each other's throats. Make sense? So, 2 questions for you to drop in the comments. Number 1, do you have your affairs in order? Yes or no? And if you don't, are you willing to look into that? And number 2, don't tell us the story, just tell us yes or no. Have you experienced a mess because somebody didn't have their affairs in order? Yes or no? No. Okay. Good for you, Gail. Yes, Allison. Yes or no? All right. Well, while you're thinking about that, more money grows on trees. So, Gail, you don't have your affairs in order and you've never experienced a mess. Well, your friends and family are going to experience a mess, perhaps. And no. Sue, yes, of course you do. Sue, you would have a giant mess if you didn't have your affairs in order. Whoop. I appreciate you all so much. So after my estate planning meeting this morning, I'm headed to get a full cardio workup on my body so I can manage my longevity, because as long as I can make it to 2030, then I'll be able to make it to 100. Hey, Sammy, play us some music, Sammy. Gosh. Let's see. Oh, I scroll back up. Sammy, I can bring you, if you got a guitar handy, sing us a song. Sammy Eubanks is my favorite living artist, maybe my favorite artist of all time. Friend of mine from Spokane, Coeur d'Alene, Idaho area, rhythm and blues, country singer. Sammy, I'm bringing you on. If you got your guitar, I know it's not far away. You could like knock down one of your one hits for us, could you? Bring them on. All right, Sammy's watching, but he's not ready to sing. I'm gonna for one of my daily doses of salt, I'm gonna see if I can get Sammy to just come on and serenade all of you. All right, I love you and appreciate you, and I'll see you tomorrow.